Welcome back, everybody. It is a brand new week of 5 Minute Major, and we have a lot to get to. Jagger Firkus of the Moose Jaw Warriors, that name should be familiar. We've talked about him prior, talked about him in a story prior, too. He, the Seattle Kraken prospect, awarded the WHL Player of the Week once again, his third honor, enough to get the Bob Clark Trophy for the top regular season scorer. So the Kraken have some big talent coming up with obviously Shane Wright down in the AHL and more. They have some really good talent coming up the line, so their future's bright. But it's also exciting because we're getting to playoff hockey finally on Thursday night across the three leagues, the QMJHL, the OHL, and the WHL. And with that, the WHL has finally been settled after all these weeks. All the spots have been clinched. That eighth spot in the Eastern Conference ended up going to the Prince Albert Raiders, just like I thought it would. Calgary, I would say they have a bright future, but they unfortunately missed the playoffs. The Prince George Cougars ended up number one in the West. The Portland Winterhawks fell short to the Tri-City Americans a few nights ago, kind of ending their chances, clinching that top spot. But not to fear, Portland will face number 7 Victoria in the playoffs, while number 1 Prince George will face number 8 the Spokane Chiefs. Portland and Prince George could meet up as early as the second round, maybe the third round of the playoffs. But it'll be very exciting to see how that ends up. Bay Como Drakkar out in the QMJHL ended up with 109 points. 109 points. So that's pretty big. And then the Saginaw Spirit also eclipsed the 100-point mark like the Portland Winterhawks did, the Prince George Cougars did, the London Knights did. The London Knights are no stranger to the Memorial Cup nor to the OHL playoffs, obviously. The London Knights, that is a team that they see success, I would say, compared to the WHL's Portland Winterhawks, because it's just that they're sustained success one season after the next. Kind of one of the questions out in the QMJHL right now would probably be when we're going to see the St. John Seahawks make it again. When I was younger, back in probably the early 2000s, they were making the Memorial Cup on a pretty consistent basis, making deep runs. But that's kind of a question mark there. But one of the other things with the Saginaw Spirit, who are hosting this year's Dow Memorial Cup in Saginaw, Michigan, which we hope to bring you coverage from, they could face that same thing that the Saskatoon Blades have gone through and other teams that have hosted the Memorial Cup. They load up for the playoffs. They load up for the Memorial Cup as the host team. And then they have to rebuild for a few seasons. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens when you bid for and win the Memorial Cup host and become that team. So we'll have to keep a watch on them in the next few seasons. But right now, my pick kind of stays the same. The Portland Winterhawks I have coming out of the West in the WHL, possibly the whole league. The Saskatoon Blades I have coming out of the East and then WHL. So that final, I would say Portland in 6 or 7. But we'll see how that goes. That's my pick there. The QMJHL, I would say the Bay Como Drakkar come out of there. The OHL, that could go either way. The London Knights could pull it out. The Memorial Cup host, Saginaw Spirit, could pull it out. We'll have to see what happens. But the talent this year has been unlike any other, I think, in recent past. I mean, you've had Nathan MacKinnon's come out of the CHL. Obviously, Sidney Crosby came out of the CHL. Both him and Nathan MacKinnon were both fellow QMJHL players at different times, obviously. Nathan MacKinnon played for the Halifax Moose Heads, who they've always been a consistent team in the postseason for the QMJHL, even the Memorial Cup. So we'll see when they kind of pick things up back again, and but the Rimouski Oceanic is who Sidney Crosby played for. The Portland Winterhawks have produced an insane amount of NHL players, so they are always a team to watch. Kamloops Blazers unfortunately didn't make it. They are in that kind of rebuilding stage after hosting the Memorial Cup. So that is the concern that I have with Saginaw, but we'll see how they do after this year. And we'll check in with you next week to bring you updates on the first round of the playoffs. Signing off, this is Derek Harper for 5 minutes.